partner with Axon, you immediately gain access to a full range of products and solutions designed to meet the complex needs of today's grower. We carry all major brands and sizes of tires and wheels. We specialize in large diameter wheels for large equipment. We have one of the largest OEM replacement wheel inventories in North America. Known for extreme flotation setups, duals, and triples, we have wheels for all makes and models of tractors, sprayers, combines, and grain carts. If we don't have the wheel in stock, we'll custom build, sandblast, and paint in-house. There isn't a more vast inventory in North America dedicated to helping dealers move more iron. With facilities on the West Coast and in the heart of the Midwest, leverage our 230,000 square feet of indoor inventory to solve any problem a grower may have. Move more iron with Axon.
Moving iron.
Hello and welcome to Moving Iron Podcast number 345. This edition of the Moving Iron Podcast is brought to you by TractorZoom. TractorZoom has access to over $20 billion in heavy equipment sales data. TractorZoom's Iron Comps is the industry's trusted solution for transparent equipment values and auction pricing insights. Got Andy Campbell back on here. He's going to talk about what he sees happening in the planter marketplace. And I tell you, the planter marketplace, as far as I'm concerned, is probably one of the most ripe for supply and demand matrices that you can see anywhere else. I mean, I think when you look at the fallout that we saw in 2014, 2015, 2016, with the number of machines that went to an auction, the number of new machines that were produced, and in turn, how many of those machines were put back into used inventory, comparatively to what we saw in 12, 13, even 11, 12, 13 time frame is the number of used machines that were out there. That number has never rebounded back to what we saw there, which is, it's a good thing, I guess. One less thing to worry about from a used equipment perspective, but it also has done a lot to drive in and facilitate the upgrade kit demand that we're seeing there, whether you're looking at the precision side or whether you're looking at the Deere side and what that looks like. So I think as you look at how these planter marketplaces are playing out, I think there's the planter market's only going to get tighter. And quite frankly, I don't know that the overall supply of used machines is going to be anything that a lot of people pay attention to, like they pay attention to today. It's still going to be something they pay attention to, but the machine itself is probably not something they're going to pay attention to as much as what the components are worth. And what's that look like on the used marketplace? So interested to see what Andy has to say about what we see going on here. So let's jump over and see what Andy's got going on the planter side.
Casey and Aaron, welcome to the marketing office here at TractorZoom. You're getting a whole tour of the place this month. Playing musical chairs as we move around offices and our team grows. So you might actually see some people that you recognize walking back and forth. But I've got planner data here from February that I want to talk to you guys about, and also mention that we're holding a webinar with farmequipment.com on March 23rd, where we're going to go into planners specifically and go in depth as much as we can with our data scientist, Hank, to discover what is the use price for things like different row options, liquid fertilizer, bulk fill, see if we can even go as deep as exact emerge, true V's, early risers on cases, as deep as we can. And so feel free to join us on March 23rd if that trips your trigger. But anyways, a few high-level things here that we've been seeing in the planter market in February. And the biggest one, you'll notice a couple little differences here. I've added some more rows up to 36. It muddies the water a bit, but I was starting to see a trend, and I wanted to see if it held going up in larger rows. So I'm just going to start with that. And, clicking here to 36 row, there's not a lot, especially not a lot at auction. But as I click down, 32, there gets to be a little bit more. I'm clicking to 31 and going to include the 16s at the same time. What we're seeing for trends here, the auction market, the gray line towards bottom, holding relatively steady with this. Here's and I've moved these to quarters. Sorry, just with the lower volume on planters in general, it helps to lump these into quarters. So here's Q1 of what we've seen. Auction 87,000, dealership almost 150. Move that back to Q1 of last year. Auction even a little bit higher. Dealership, last year a little bit lower. So decent growth on the dealership side with this. But now dropping back up here to the 24 row. Auction market steady, if not dropping here, significantly in Q1. Going to 12 row now. So this is really where I've seen some insight, and I wanted to pick your guys' brain on. And actually, I first got the insight talking earlier this summer with the farmer up in North Iowa that I converse with quite a bit. He knows a lot of stuff about iron. His name's Dustin, and he was saying that he really thinks 36 rows are going to be kind of a thing of the past. They'll still be wanted by some farmers, but just the demand for them is going to go less. With precision planting, higher speed planters, people are going to opt into smaller planters that they can outfit with more technology, cover more ground if they can go faster. And that's just going to make the demand for the 36 rows, larger planters drop. Now, conversely, then your 12 row planters, maybe 16 rows are going to go up. And so that's my main question here. And looking at this graph, if you look at both auction and dealer values from mid 21 till now, that is a steady increase on 12 row. And now going reverse direction up here, looking at the 16 row planter, you obviously have a December high here in the blue dealerships, but from this point on, not as steep as a growth, but still growth. But you start to move up to your 24 row, and that's flat, if not down. Move up even larger. Again, your 32 and your 36, variability is higher just because fewer data points. But is that something that you guys are seeing out there? And then
so I think one clear point I want to make here on this. I was a person that thought when the high speed planter came out that we would see planter size shrink, and we would see, the 24 row guy would get a 12 row planter, and the 31, 32 guy would get a 16 row planter, and we'd start seeing more of that. Or we'd see some guys that would go from a 36 row planter down to a 12 row planter. We'd just see more planter size go down. And from everything that I've watched happen on the planter side, through this time frame, no one bought a smaller planter. They just got it faster. And so the guy that had a 24 row planter just bought a faster 24 row planter. And the person that had a 16 row planter just bought another 16 row planter to just go that much more fast. And I think I do believe that the size of planters will I think what he's showing here is I think long-term trend line, you will see the size of planters go down. But I think when it comes down to when people are still pulling something and the people are still working in the field, and no matter how fast they're going, if you can be just as big and go twice as fast, I think you're going to see that happen. Now, some of the stuff that could be a limiting factor on that is that as you look at some of the technology that you're putting on some of these machines and the horsepower requirements and the hydraulic requirements that come in, you may need to go down to a smaller planter to make that work, just because of the tractor that you got. Pump size and those kind of things start to play into that. When autonomous vehicles start coming into play and they're driving themselves, 100% agree that the size of a planter is going to go down, and so is the size of the machine is going to go down. The tractor that's pulling is going to go down as well. So as I'm looking at this, I can't say that we're selling any less 24 row planters and more 12 row planters, or we're selling any more 16 row planters instead of 24 row planters, something like that. Where I'm at and what we see happening out and the guys that I'm talking to, I have not heard too many people start talking about the size of the planter going down based around the speed and technology that's out there. If anything, the size has stayed the same. They just put on more technology.
You think that we'll start to see across the country of just an obsolescence of planters? They're as big as they're going to get, and we're going to start to go smaller. Really, that's my first question to you guys. Second thing that I've seen with planters, particularly this.
And I think to answer that question, from my perspective, planters have gotten as big as they're going to get. I don't see a lot of DB 120s and DB 90s and DB 60s and things like that starting to play in there. Now, I will say that the DB 60s probably is about as big as you're going to get, depending on what you're doing, and the row size you're doing and what you're doing with those machines. Those custom bars are going to start maybe seeing a more of a play, and maybe some of the size are going to start functionally moving into a different realm of sorts. But I mean, ultimately, I think our planer size has gotten about as big as it's going to get. And I agree, we're going to start seeing it transition backwards to smaller. But and until we get people out of the cabs of machines, they're definitely not going to see a trend line where machines are going to get smaller. They're going to stay the same and go faster. And that's what we've seen over the last, whatever that's been, 8-9 years. We've seen something similar to that. So.
Then I've seen it pop up in my radar twice now within just the past few days. Harvest International. They held our top auction spot this past month for the biggest, highest value planter sold. And then I'm seeing them again here kind of for the first time on my radar for Q1. And I don't know a lot about them. They're not, I think 2007 is when the company was founded. And so, yeah, is that, are these planners something that are on the rise that you think could start to play a larger part in the market share, or or are they at where they're at, and we're not going to see many more than what we currently see? So, beyond that, and kind of pumping the webinar that's on March 23rd, that's what we're seeing for planners this month. I'd be interested on your guys' take. Take care, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right. Thanks, Andy. I appreciate that. I think, I'll go back to what I said earlier. Harvest International, I've seen them pop up a little bit. Haven't heard much about them. To be real honest with you, I haven't even seen anything that they've got out there yet. But I still think I don't know enough about them to make a comment, I guess is the best way to put it. Maybe I probably sometimes should spend some time researching a little bit and seeing what's going on there. But again, I think as you look at planner marketplace, two things to take away from this. One is I don't think the planner marketplace is going to ever grow a bunch to be a big, huge, massive mess again. It may grow back to be a big, huge, massive mess with components, but not necessarily all total machines. So I think that might be something to take a look at. Secondly, the speed versus size of the planner, I think that's going to continue to be something that we see happen. I think we're going to continue to see machines stay similar to the same and maybe start to retract just a little bit until fully autonomous comes around. And when that comes around, I think that's a different story, that we're going to have a different approach to the way things look. Not immediately, but I mean, over the course of the next 10 years, I could see that easily transitioning smaller. It feels like to me we're selling as many 16-row and 24-row planners as we have in the past, and I don't see that stopping anytime soon. As you look at now, price might drive some of that, but I really do believe that if you're looking at a planner right now and you're not looking at the upgrade kit option for that planner, you should take a hard, long look at that, because I think that's, barring something wrong with your bar, no pun intended there, you're going to get the same technology, you're going to get the same newness of what you see happening there. So I think that's going to start playing a bigger play into what we're doing. And it might go from a guy that's got an older technology type planner that's a 24-row planner, and he may start taking a look at doing a 16-row or 12-row planner and updating that stuff to more technology. So I think the planner market is the one market thing that we see right now that is going to have the biggest kind of splash in the market as far as how we look and what we see things happen. So, I want to thank the guys at Tractor Zoom for putting this together. And Andy, appreciate your time putting all this together, man. So I think it's a good place to stop. So I'm Casey Seymour with Moving Iron Podcast. Check me out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Moving Iron LLC. Go to LinkedIn at Moving Iron Podcast and check out the YouTube channel, Moving Iron Podcast, over on youtube.com. Check it out there. Go to Moving Iron LLC for everything Moving Iron related. Check out the upper right-hand corner for the Moving Iron Summit tab. Click on that, and you can see all the information that's there about the Moving Iron Summit coming up here in September 11th through the 13th in Nashville, Tennessee. If you need more information about that, you can send me an email at MovingIronPodcast at MovingIronPodcast.com. If you're one of the first 150 people to sign up for that, Axon Tire takes care of your first $50 of that registration fee. So well worth your while to sign up early for that. So I am Casey Seymour with Andy Campbell. Let's go do some iron, folks. Out.
Moving iron in the 21st century. Hard-working people working hard for you and me. Moving iron time and time again. Through the years you'll find us here. Moving